Fantastic. So joycampwebsite.com, Joycamp on YouTube, and then launching very soon, within a week or so, you would say, bennywills.com.
Exactly, yeah. The goal is to get it all up by the time I go to Red Pill.
And what's the date on
days.
the Red Pill Expo?
Red Pill, let me bring up a calendar real quick. I believe it's the 7th, 8th, and 9th. Let me just that. Yep, 7th, 8th, and 9th in Hartford, Connecticut. There are still plenty of tickets available. I highly recommend the event. It's hosted by G. Edward Griffin, the legend himself.
Yes.
And we went last year, and it was awesome. And I'm absolutely honored to be the MC this year. And they have some pretty excellent speakers lined up.
And will you be emceeing and doing your performance art as well? Yes.
Okay. I'll be performing as well.
Can you use a code for a discount?
Oh yeah, you can use if you use code JOYCAMP, you get a promo code JOYCAMP, you get a little bit of discount on your ticket. And yeah, I'll be performing there as well as MC thing. I have a really full plate when it comes to Red Pill. I might get a haircut for it. We'll see.
Great. Well, good luck at that event. I'm sure it's going to be great. G. Edward Griffin's awesome. I got a chance to speak with him briefly at Anarchadelphia 2019 again this year. I've heard it's a great event that he puts on. So, I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to seeing you perform there, and I wish you the best of luck with that event.
Thanks. And then I'll also be emceeing an event called Anarcho Vegas at the end of July. I think it's on the 21st of July. If you're in Las Vegas, you want to brave the heat of that time of year in that in that city, come check us out. And then, of course, you and I will both be at Anarchadelphia.
That's right.
At the end of summer.
That's right. Benny will be at Anarchadelphia as well. So come on out to that in Philadelphia in September. So Benny and Sonya, thank you so much. A brilliant interview, and I think we could go to the caller lines and see what the listening audience, the viewing audience, wants to pose to you as questions. What do you think?
Excellent, man. Yeah, it's been an honor. Thanks.
Okay. So let's hear from Chicken Cam. Chicken Cam, and then live on What on Earth is Happening. Welcome.
What's up, Mark? It's Carmen from State of Anarchy.
Hey, Carmen. How you doing?
What's up, dude? Hey, Benny. How's it going?
Carmen is one of the co-hosts of the Anarchadelphia conference. So, Carmen, what do you have for Benny and Sonya today?
I love how this sort of the focus seems to be on the whole gender bender thing. That's something I weirdly watched like a 3-hour documentary on the other day and got really into the rabbit holes with all that. And it's funny because I like how Benny pointed out how it seems to be so aligned with this corporate agenda, and it really destroys the whole like sort of rebellious vibe that the whole kind of movement claims to embody. They really kind of are in line with like the powers that be, and I'm not sure they realize it, and that's something that we really have to, I think, make apparent to people. That's my opinion, at least. What do you think, Benny?
Yeah, well, I think they've also, this term toxic masculinity is thrown around all the time, which is just masculinity. So they've demonized men. So basically anything a man has to say is now in danger of being toxic and offensive to someone. And if you've demasculated the population, then you've demasculated the part of the population that would stand up against the authority and stand up for that uprising. So that if you have all women thinking that men are toxic, that makes us also weak, that we won't be able to, we won't have the balls to stand up to this tyranny.
I couldn't agree more, man. And it's funny. I remember growing up in life, like being pushed away from, sort of natural behaviors that I learned later in life was just masculine energy. Do you know what I mean? Like expressing your opinion, even if nobody asked for it. You know what I mean? So many people so many people think that that's like a super negative thing. And in certain contexts, you don't want to be a jerk or anything. But like just in general, the outward expansive energy of masculinity is demonized. Like it's got a whole new moniker on it. And you're right, it is to sort of quell, it was the men of the world who got up and, still to this day fighting the wars and stuff. That's kind of how it goes. And like, if you can take that out of the army of the humans and the people who are like, I guess like the plebeians is sort of like the term people are referring to the common man as now. If you take that masculine element out of it, it makes them that much easier to subdue.
I feel like the blurred lines of gender now, the fact that they're trying to convince us that there's more than 2 genders is the real world equivalent of 2 + 2 = 5 from 1984. They're trying to change something that is a fact and make us, so that further discombobulates us, so that our sense of reality is no longer rooted in truth. It's the real life that this idea that there's more than two genders is the direct in our world example of 2 + 2 = 5. What the ideal feminine used to be, which is feminine, which is nurturing, caring, loving, soft.
Yeah.
And now
Powerful
they're
through the heart.
fighting to be more like men, so that there's more female superheroes, and women are just as good at fighting in battle as men are, and it's all just so distorted.
Yeah, and it's a shame too, because they're taking them away from what is a beautiful force of creation. I mean, femininity is the womb. It's where, you know, like it's like the soil of which, you know, like future generations come from, and that is a beautiful mantle for anybody to be, you know, to hold. And like no women should be like upset that is like their heritage, just like no man should be upset that his heritage is one of an expansive and powerful nature, and we're here to provide for these beautiful creatures that, you know, create our babies and move life forward. And it's a beautiful thing, but you know, all this gender bender shit just tries to throw mud all over, and it drives me crazy, man.
The dark occult always seeks to invert everything. It seeks to invert because it can't create. It can only really take what's there and twist and distort. So inversion of everything is part of the agenda. So you're taking the sacred feminine and turning it into the unholy feminine. So you're taking what would be a feminine nurturing nature that is there to guide and support and uplift and direct, and then you're turning that into something that is controlling, wanting power, wanting to be more like a man instead of being feminine in and of itself, in its own quality, and then also wanting control and power. And then you're doing the same thing with the sacred masculine, which is a protectorate force, something that is there to provide defense when something is attacked and harmed, when someone is attacked and harmed without right, and strength, and something that is expansive, as you said, Carmen, and continuously puts energy out there. That's the will. That's the force of the will. And they want to take that and they want to pervert that and turn that into the unholy masculine, or the control freak mentality that we see in police, military, politicians, any aspect of the state. This is all the controllers. This is all the dark occult can do. They can only invert, distort, and pervert. They can never really create using true creative energy. They can only take what is there that nature has provided and given us and turn it into its polarized opposite, twisting and distorting it and perverting it into the opposite that nature intended it to be.
Mark, that is exactly what they do. And I'll leave it on this one sort of eerie note that's in exact alignment with what you said about them taking nature and inverting it. Certain A-list political figures and celebrities, as part of this dark occultism and part of taking nature and inverting it and perverting it, were actually mutilating themselves and their children and essentially like disguising themselves as the opposite gender. That was the premise of this video. And they were showing photographic evidence of certain prominent women displaying masculine features such as like large shoulders. They were getting into like all of these different concepts about how like the shoulder width to waist ratio and all that stuff. And it was just a very interesting and honestly visually convincing argument. And it goes in line with that satanic inversion rule, and I wouldn't put it past them.
Great points. I mean, I think that's definitely part of the agenda that they want to put out there. They want people confused. They want people divided amongst themselves, even internally divided, so that they don't even really understand, themselves. But Carmen, setting aside, that aspect of the discussion, let's talk a little bit briefly while I have you on the line about the Anarchadelphia conference and how that looks to be shaping up, since Benny and myself and Sonya are all going to be a part of it. How do you see it shaping up going forward?
Everything's coming together perfectly. We actually, I guess I'll make this a public announcement. We acquired a second location directly across the street from our current location to sort of accommodate the expanding sort of requests from the speakers to hold workshops and also showing films and stuff like that. So we're actually expanding the actual venue because of interest and everybody's sort of like participation, which is awesome. But what is actually happening sort of on a macro scale, which is even more exciting, that Benny is also going to be at Red Pill and Anarcho Vegas, which we're also going to be at. So you're starting to see this Anarchapulco, Red Pill Expo, Anarchadelphia, Anarcho Vegas, almost like equivalent to like an international like world tour of anarchist conferences to like really spread and seed this information and have people network and really build a network of connected freedom fighters. And that's what I see happening above all of these things, which is super exciting. And I love that we're all a part of it.
Yeah, and I mean, you could add things like the AV conference in England to that. You know, there's so many events that are bringing people together all over the world. That's why I think, you know, the activist community should do more in this sense of trying to network people together. Again, as we talked about last week with social media, just general social influencers, people who influence society as the mavens of their communities. There is that aspect of the connector, the networker, the one who can bring people together. They may not be the main influencers, but they are ancillary influencers in the sense that they will bring the community together and bring the main influencers together in the same places and network them together to establish stronger bonds within the community. And I think that's what the whole freedom movement needs much more of, you know, because it's still a loosely conglomerated groupings of individuals who really have to again, engage more to get down to those root core principles, those first principles that Benny and Sonya and I were talking about earlier, and get on the same page regarding those things that are about true objective morality and learning natural law and truly learning and exercising the difference between right and wrong behavior. When we get on the same page about those first principles, there's no telling how much this could expand and have an influence in the rest of society.
I completely agree, and that's why it's so exciting to just go forward and be a part of it. And I want to thank you and Benny, and of course, this lovely guest is invited to Anarchadelphia as well. I want to see all of these powerful souls there, and I want to have all this energy sort of like, you know, concentrate so that it can, you know, be that much more powerful. And I just can't wait, man. It's gonna be super, super exciting. You can head to Anarchadelphia.com if you're interested to learn more. Mark, thanks for having me on. I don't know if Benny's back on, but if he is, thanks for hanging out.
Carmen, thanks so much for calling in.
Join the State of Anarchy this September's Harvest Moon in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where this gathering of like minds aims to foster unbreakable relationships between the movement's leading forces, whom teach self-love and ownership, blockchain techno-economics, as well as exposing the Earth's sacred hidden knowledge. So will we see you there?
If our content resonates with you, then definitely subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button, otherwise you will not get notified when we drop dope videos like this. Share it, like it, or even dislike it, but let us know why in the comments below. Hook us up with a crypto tip. Check us out on Patreon. Anarchadelphia is gonna be sick. Tickets are already selling. First come, first serve, because we can only sell so many unless we get a bigger venue. You can go to Anarchadelphia.com to get your tickets at early bird rate right now, or you can just go to the State of Anarchy and go through the shop. We got some dope swag. We're also going to be at Anarcho Vegas, July 19th through 21st, and then we'll be at the Red Pill Expo, June 7th through 9th in Hartford, Connecticut.